The Cold War, 1950s to 1980s, was a golden age for jet innovation, driven by fierce competition between superpowers. Over 10,000 experimental aircraft were designed, with many pushing the limits of speed and technology. However, this race often prioritized performance over pilot safety. Iconic hangars buzzed with engineers testing radical prototypes, while pilots faced untested risks. This era birthed legendary jets, but also some of the most hated designs in aviation history. Next, we explore the first infamous jet, the F-104 Starfighter. The F-104 Starfighter, dubbed the Widowmaker, was notorious for its high-speed instability. With a 30% crash rate in Germany, pilots criticized its tiny wings and sensitive controls, calling it a missile with a man in it. The jet's design prioritized Mach 2 speeds but offered minimal margin for error. Over 300 pilots died in peacetime accidents. One veteran recalled, "Landing it felt like balancing a pencil on your fingertip." Its legacy remains a cautionary tale of sacrificing safety for speed. The Soviet MiG-23's swing-wing mechanism was meant to optimize speed and maneuverability, but pilots called it a mechanical nightmare. Over 40% of crashes were linked to wing failures mid-flight. The hydraulic system often leaked, causing sudden asymmetrical wing sweeps. In Afghanistan, pilots avoided dogfights, fearing the wings would jam. "It was like flying a time bomb," confessed a retired Soviet pilot. The MiG-23's complexity became its downfall, overshadowing its advanced radar and weaponry. The F-4 Phantom's bulky airframe earned it the nickname Flying Brick. Pilots hated its poor rear visibility, a fatal flaw in dogfights. "You couldn't see the enemy until they were firing," said a Vietnam veteran. The Navy initially omitted guns, relying on missiles, until a 2-1 kill ratio forced redesigns. Even after upgrades, the Phantom's blind spots remained. Its twin-engine power saved lives, but pilots joked, "It proved you could make a brick fly if you gave it enough thrust." British pilots dubbed the English Electric Lightning the world's fastest coffin. Its vertical stack engine design forced an absurdly narrow cockpit, just 24 inches wide at the shoulders. Pilots endured 90-minute missions with no room to shift. "You'd exit with bruises from the controls," recalled one aviator. Despite its Mach 2 speed, the Lightning's fuel capacity was laughable, limiting range to 250 miles. Worse, ejections often ended in spinal injuries due to the awkward seat angle. Comfort was clearly not a priority. The F-105 Thunderchief's nickname, Thud, wasn't just onomatopoeia, it was the sound of crashing. Pilots dreaded its thin-skinned fuel tanks, which ignited when hit by even small arms fire. In Vietnam, 50% of F-105s were lost to enemy fire. "You were sitting in a gas can with wings," said a survivor. The jet's heavy bomb loads strained its airframe, and its single-engine design left no backup. Though fast, the Thud became a symbol of Cold War attrition, a jet designed for nukes, not survivability. The F-7U Cutlass was a naval disaster. Its radical tailless design and weak engines made carrier landings a gamble. 25% of F-7Us were lost in accidents. Pilots nicknamed it Gutless for its poor thrust and Ensign Eliminator for its high rookie fatality rate. The nose gear frequently collapsed, causing decks to scatter. "Landing felt like a controlled crash," admitted a veteran. The Navy retired it after just 5 years, but not before losing 78 pilots, a grim toll for an experimental design. Behind these flawed jets lay political agendas. Governments demanded record-breaking specs to one-up rivals, ignoring pilots' pleas. The F-104's export was pushed to NATO allies to counter Soviet MiGs, despite its dangers. Declassified memos reveal engineers warning about the MiG-23's wings, but the Kremlin prioritized production quotas. Even the F-105's flaws were overlooked to maintain nuclear strike capacity. "We were test pilots, not combat aviators," lamented a Cold War veteran. Safety was collateral in the arms race. These jets, though hated, shaped modern aviation. The F-104's crashes led to ejection seat improvements, while the MiG-23's failures spurred redundant hydraulic systems. The F-4's blind spots influenced today's bubble canopies. "We learned the hard way," said a designer of the F-35. Now simulators test jets for years before flight. The Cold War's reckless innovation wasn't wasted. It became a roadmap for balancing performance and safety, ensuring today's pilots aren't guinea pigs.